Morgan Harrington disappeared on Saturday, October 17, 2009. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Morgan Harrington's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. A beautiful 20-year-old Virginia Tech co-ed is looking forward to an evening of fun at a Metallica concert.
I mean, Morgan was kind of like champagne. Morgan was bubbly and cause for celebration.
At the concert, Morgan leaves her seat and doesn't return.
Even though she was warned that if she left, she would not be allowed to re-enter, for some unexplained reason, Morgan walked out the front doors.
Strangers report seeing her later that night.
It's 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, why is she out here with a miniskirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these three guys?
But her friends and family never see her again.
It's a strange place and time to be where your best case scenario is you're hoping your daughter is held against her will.
The police struggled to find viable leads in the case.
We had a girl we knew was missing, we had a purse, we had a cell phone, and that's it. I remember looking at the investigators and saying, we have a problem.
It's Saturday, October 17th, 2009. 20-year-old Virginia Tech junior Morgan Harrington is at her parents' house in Roanoke, Virginia, getting ready for a night out with friends.
Morgan liked getting ready. I think girls do. The part of the fun is the anticipation of going out. So we chose an outfit together that Morgan thought was danceable, but looked nice, and chose her jewelry.
Morgan has been living independently for 3 years now. She shares an apartment near campus with a friend. But she frequently drops by her parents' house, just 45 minutes away.
Morgan came home probably, I would say, twice a week, sometimes just for a couple hours.
So it seemed like it was a lot easier for Morgan to throw her laundry in the car and come here and push it in the door and say, Mama, here it is, and flop down and watch TV with Dan, and miraculously end up having had dinner and spent some time with her papa and have clean laundry all at the same time.
Tonight, she is going to a much-anticipated Metallica concert. A huge music fan, Morgan got the ticket as a gift from her father. For Morgan, this concert is the event of the year.
As soon as she heard that they were coming, she made sure that when tickets became available online, that Dan was there and bought tickets. And those tickets were magneted to our refrigerator for months, waiting for the day to come.
Morgan settles on a black vintage t-shirt with the band Pantera logo, a black miniskirt, black tights, and black boots. She completes her look with some family heirloom jewelry and a black purse that she can wear as a backpack.
She looked lovely, but Morgan could wear a burlap sack and look lovely.
Morgan has a very close relationship with her parents, Dan and Jill.
It's a wonderful time in the life of a parent when you finally have, it's not a peer level relationship, but an adult relationship with your children. And Morgan had gotten there.
Dan and Jill enjoyed watching the youngest of their 2 children blossom from a spirited little girl into a beautiful and mature young woman.
Morgan was a lot of fun. I mean, Morgan was kind of like champagne. Morgan was bubbly and cause for celebration.
A blonde-haired, blue-eyed stunner, Morgan Dana Harrington has the bright personality to match her looks.
Morgan's this really sweet, beautiful girl. I always said that she was as beautiful inside as she was on the outside.
Now in her 3rd year of college, Morgan is planning on becoming a teacher when she graduates. Although she prides herself on her independence, Morgan still sometimes struggles with her finances. she relies on her father to help her. In fact, on Sunday after the concert, she plans on coming back to her parents' house just for that reason.
The plan had been for Morgan to come back on Sunday, and I was going to help her with math and also help her balance her checkbook, which was not one of her favorite things to do.
By noon that Saturday, Morgan is out the door. The plan is to pick up her roommate Amy and 2 other friends before heading to the concert at the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville.
I believe what they were planning to do was to spend the night after the concert in Harrisonburg because it's closer, and then she was coming back.
Later that afternoon, Morgan calls her father on his cell phone to check in. She's picked up Amy, and the 2 have just arrived at James Madison University, where they are meeting the rest of the crew.
The last time I spoke with Morgan was around 2 or 2:30 when she called me from James Madison to let me know she had arrived safely.
At 7 p.m., the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia is bustling with Metallica fans. Morgan and her 3 friends take their seats as the opening band warms up the crowd. At about 8:15 p.m., Morgan tells her friends she is going to the restroom. When she is not back half an hour later, Morgan's friend Sarah calls her cell phone to find out where she is. Morgan tells her she ended up outside the arena and can't get back in. The venue has a strict no re-entry policy. Since Sarah has Morgan's card, Morgan tells her she'll find a ride home and hangs up the phone. Sunday, October 18th. Dan Harrington is expecting his daughter home so they can balance her checkbook. Morgan's mother, Jill, is at church, as she always is on Sundays, and Dan is enjoying a quiet morning at home.
So I was doing my usual thing, and I wasn't concerned because I thought she would be home about noon.
At 11 a.m., Dan gets a phone call that leaves him puzzled, but not yet alarmed.
I had received a call about maybe 11 o'clock from the University of Virginia police who told me that someone had turned in a purse that was found, and it was Morgan's, and with her ID in the purse. And I thought that was strange. But then I thought, well, you know, maybe getting in the car, Morgan dropped her purse, and boy, she was really going to be angry.
I can remember Dan turning to me and saying, gosh, you won't believe it. University of Virginia has called and someone has found Morgan's purse. But I don't think he realized the importance and the impact of it. But I could just feel my face go white because I knew something bad had happened. If someone found Morgan's purse in a parking lot, my question immediately is where is Morgan?
Coming up, troubling reports of Morgan's appearance outside of the concert baffle and unnerve her parents.
The last place that Morgan Harrington was seen around 9:30 would have been the Copley Street Bridge, trying to catch a ride, hitchhiking.
20-year-old Morgan Harrington fails to show up at her parents' house the morning after a rock concert at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Morgan's father, Dan, gets a call from the UVA police, alerting him about Morgan's lost purse.
It's one of those moments where you know your world is getting ready to change. We immediately started to get on the phone and try and locate Morgan's friends and find Morgan.
When we called them, they told us that they had not seen Morgan since the middle of the concert, and told us that Morgan had left her seat, ultimately left the arena. I called the police at the University of Virginia and told them that Morgan was missing.
The University of Virginia police take the Harringtons' concerns very seriously. The officers conduct a search of the immediate area surrounding the John Paul Jones Arena. Now, in the overflow parking lot near the athletic fields, they find more telling evidence. Morgan's cell phone with its battery missing.
The additional items were found on Sunday when the detective went over to the area where the purse was found. It only confirmed again my concern that something horrible had happened to Morgan.
By Sunday night, the Harringtons are frantic. They still haven't heard from Morgan, and they begin to fear the worst. After a sleepless night, in the early morning hours of Monday, October 19th, Morgan's parents make the 2-hour drive from Roanoke to Charlottesville to talk to Virginia State Police, who are now taking over the investigation.
Well, initially, the investigation was focused on a missing person, but there was no indication that there was any foul play in those first few days after she was reported missing. According to her friends, they indicated that it was not unusual for her to, go off on her own, to spend some time with another friend and to leave and then show back up the next day.
The investigators' first task is to retrace Morgan's steps on the night of her disappearance. They interview Morgan's 3 friends. According to them, Morgan had not left her seat prepared to leave the concert that night.
She did not have her keys when she became separated from her friends to go to the bathroom. Nor was there a planned rendezvous point after the concert was over.
Morgan received a cell phone call from her friend Sarah at 8:48 p.m. She told Sarah that she was unable to re-enter the arena and she was looking for a way to get back in. And finally Morgan just told her that she was going to find her, basically just she was going to find a ride. And that was the last phone contact that anybody had with Morgan.
They even looked for her after the concert. They hung around the venue, went down to a local restaurant and tried to find her, and after many hours in the morning, they went back to Harrisonburg, Virginia, where they originated.
In a crowded public space like the John Paul Jones Arena, it's nearly impossible to avoid surveillance cameras. Investigators quickly locate video from Saturday night.
There are numerous businesses in that area, service stations, grocery stores, banks. We were able to obtain all of the video footage, surveillance video footage in that area.
Frame by frame, the investigators examine hundreds of hours of grainy surveillance footage collected from dozens of businesses.
Well, none of the video footage that we reviewed revealed any evidence of what happened to Morgan. Nothing.
I felt certain we would have found at least a 2 or 3 second shot of Morgan Harrington outside the venue, but that just did not happen. And I can't explain it. I can only tell you that of all the video we have, there's absolutely nothing relevant to Morgan that we're aware of.
Next, police turn to the media, trying to find witnesses who might have spotted Morgan that night.
Anyone who may have seen Morgan or a young lady matching this description after October 17th, which was Saturday night, should report it to the police.
The purpose of the press conference was to try to make up time that had been lost, since she had been missing for many, many hours prior to us getting there. So we were going to flood the local media with information about Morgan Harrington as we knew it at the time.
She has long blonde hair and blue eyes. She was wearing a black t-shirt, black knee-high boots, black tights, and a black miniskirt.
I would estimate probably we interviewed over 100 people in the first 3 or 4 days of the investigation.
Ultimately, here's what we had to begin with. We had a girl we knew was missing. We had a purse. We had a cell phone. And that's it. And that's not a whole lot to work with.
While the detectives conduct witness interviews, multiple agencies comb the area around the John Paul Jones Arena for any physical evidence.
We had a tremendous amount of resources here with troopers, with canines, with helicopters. And that went on for about 2.5 days.
And we were unable to locate any other items of evidence in that area.
It's a strange place and time to be where your best case scenario is you're hoping your daughter is held against her will. But that's where we were.
By now, Morgan has been missing for more than 48 hours. Jill and Dan Harrington try to keep their hope alive.
I'd like to say if Morgan is out there and hears us, please come home. It was our daughter, and we wanted to make an appeal to Morgan or to the person who took Morgan to please let her go free. We realized the only thing that we could do to help Morgan was to be as public as possible.
And to do that, we had to be accessible to anyone who came calling. So we didn't turn down anybody.
And now to the search for 20-year-old Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington. Good morning to both of you, and thank you for joining us. Obviously, this is a very difficult time for your family.
Thank you for having us.
The community and a nation rallies behind the Harrington family. Within 2 days, $100,000 is raised for information leading to Morgan's return. The band Metallica offers up additional reward money.
James Hetfield, who is with Metallica, called me and said that he was so sorry for Morgan's situation, and he offered a reward of $50,000.
Metallica also posts a message to their fans on the band's webpage, asking for any video taken at the concert that might help the investigation. As witness after witness comes forward online and through the police tip line, a bizarre picture of Morgan's movements outside the arena begins to emerge. At about 8:50 p.m., Morgan is spotted outside the ticket booth area.
Morgan, for whatever reason, started heading towards the main entrance, even though she was warned that if she left, she would not be allowed to re-enter. For some unexplained reason, Morgan walked out the front doors.
No one understands how her trip to the bathroom landed Morgan outside of the arena, since there are 18 clearly marked women's restrooms inside.
We identified some witnesses who were outside about to enter the arena and who encountered Morgan out there, and they said that she seemed to be a little incapacitated in some way.
Up until now, there has been no information about Morgan's behavior. But soon, multiple eyewitnesses begin giving matching accounts. They say Morgan was acting erratically outside the arena. Some reports suggest she may have sustained an injury on her chin. Though Morgan's friends admit she'd been drinking alcohol, they say she was not intoxicated.
But we don't know what happened from the time she left that seat in Section 312 until the time she wound up outside. So we don't know if she was slipping drunk. We know that she probably fell. Based on the abrasion, it wouldn't appear to have been a serious head wound, but we don't know that. And then certainly we know outside the venue she was fumbling through her purse, had dropped her purse and spilled its contents. And that would be inconsistent with someone who had their wits about them.
The witnesses who encountered Morgan outside the arena told us that they offered Morgan assistance, asked her if she needed help or did she need a ticket or to get in, and she said no, she had a ticket, but she refused any kind of assistance that anybody offered her.
After compiling accounts from over 100 independent eyewitnesses, the investigators have a clearer picture of Morgan's movements outside the John Paul Jones Arena. It leads them to the Copley Road Bridge over the railroad tracks to the west of the arena.
The last place that Morgan Harrington was seen around 9:30 would have been the Copley Street Bridge, trying to catch a ride, hitchhiking.
This revelation bewilders and further alarms Morgan's parents.
They said that they had two different sources that placed Morgan on the bridge, and it was hard to process that. It's very atypical behavior for Morgan. To my knowledge, Morgan has not hitchhiked before. It's not. These kids all have cars. Well, you don't hitchhike.
We have a girl that's exposed now to some cold weather and some drizzle. We have a girl who doesn't have a cell phone in place. We have a desperate individual. We have a girl that's not thinking clearly. So when you're not thinking clearly, you're going to do things you normally wouldn't do. So while it wouldn't be normal for Morgan Harrington to hitchhike, on that particular night, we believe she was hitchhiking out of desperation.
Coming up, another more disturbing sighting of Morgan comes to light.
And I was like, why is she out here with a miniskirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these three guys?
Junior Morgan Harrington is missing after leaving a rock concert at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville. Witness accounts last place her on the Copley Road Bridge, apparently hitchhiking at 9:30 p.m. that evening. The police continue searching the area around the University of Virginia campus.
We searched the entire tunnel system under the University of Virginia. We ran more dogs just to see, did we miss something? And we actually started considering potential dump sites, body sites, and we actually did some covert searches of those sites.
But search after search, the investigators come up empty. As days and weeks go by, the hope of finding Morgan or solving her disappearance begins to grow dim.
At some point, your search has to be reasonable, and you have to consider your resources and what other obligations do you have to other investigations. We did not stop our searches until we were confident that we had reasonably searched the areas that need to be searched and beyond.
By December 16th, 8 weeks after Morgan vanished, investigators stopped searching.
It's frustrating and demoralizing to feel that people would quit on Morgan.
To keep their daughter in the public's mind, Morgan's parents continue to engage the media.
And to the person who has taken Morgan from us, please just let her go.
This story took on a life of its own, and that's needed when you have someone who's missing. And we figured out also that keeping Morgan's story alive kept pressure on the police.
The day after Morgan disappeared, Charlottesville's weekly paper, The Hook, launched its own investigation into the Morgan Harrington case.
I happen to be a reporter that focuses on crime, and in particular, crimes against women. It was pretty quickly apparent within a couple of days that this was going to be a really high-profile case.
Reporter Courtney Stewart begins digging through the hundreds of witness accounts online and plugging into the town gossip to see if she can unearth any new information on the case.
I attended an orientation session for volunteers who were going to participate in one of the searches, and a woman sitting sort of towards the back stood up and said, "Why has nobody returned my call? I have been trying to give you my tip. I saw her."
Norma Parson told Stewart she was delivering newspapers around the University of Virginia grounds early that Sunday morning. Around 3:45 a.m., roughly 6 hours after the Copley Road Bridge sighting, she was making a delivery at the residences around the UVA campus.
When I got to the opening to the west lawn, she was just standing there. She was tall, blonde. Her hair was stuck inside of her jacket. So I just stood there while they walked slowly by me. I just noticed she had all black on. She had a black jacket, black skirt, no tights, knee-high boots, and the 3 white young males walking with her. I felt like it's 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, why is she out here with a mini skirt on, out here, her legs out, and she's with these 3 guys? So when she walked up the steps on my side of the pavilion, I looked her dead in the face.
The next morning, Parsons says she saw Morgan Harrington's photo on the front page of the local newspaper.
I looked at the picture and light bulbs just went on in my head. I said, yeah, I saw that young lady. I saw Morgan Harrington on the west lawn.
Parson called the tip line with her story, but she says the police didn't take her seriously.
I think that they did a very unprofessional job in the way that they handled my tip.
The investigators say they vetted Parsons' tip very carefully.
The lawn sighting has been investigated more than once by a couple of our investigators who've gone back at different times. We even used bloodhounds to go over there and try to see if whether or not the scent for Morgan was there. So we haven't discarded that information. We just have not. That could come to play later on as more information is unraveled. As it is right now, we cannot corroborate that sighting.
But reporter Courtney Stewart checks out the story anyway.
Well, I followed it up by going to the room where she said she had seen this girl and these 3 boys coming out. And the student who was there said it's not possible. And he suggested that, in fact, there was a wedding reception that was being held in one of the larger, those pavilions, larger houses next door. And he thought that probably what she had seen was guests who were attending this reception leaving that area.
Norma Parson stands by her story.
I'm good at faces, and I may not know your name, but if I haven't seen you in 5 years, I will remember your face. When I saw her in that paper, I knew that was her.
Norma Parsons' story has an eerie similarity to another eyewitness account unearthed by Stewart.
A woman who was arriving from Richmond to attend the Metallica show said as she arrived, and she was coming a little late, she said a group of 4 young men accompanied by 1 young blonde woman wearing black boots and sort of an outfit that matched the description of what Morgan had been wearing, were crossed in front of her car. And she thought that the girl looked wobbly, and she wondered why they would be walking away from the arena when Metallica was about to come on.
With no physical evidence or surveillance video to support either account, it's impossible for police to know whether they are accurate.
Eyewitness accounts in a criminal investigation are very important, but eyewitness information generally always has to be corroborated and confirmed in some way.
With lead after lead falling through, the investigation falters. Then, on November 11th, 2009, the police get a call that may steer them towards some solid physical evidence in the case.
I was notified by the Charlottesville City Police Department that they recovered a shirt that was consistent with the one Morgan was wearing the night she was last seen.
A black t-shirt with tan letters spelling the band's name, Pantera, across the chest, is found by a student on the ground next to an apartment complex. The location, the intersection of 15th Street and Grady Avenue in Charlottesville, is an area heavily populated with university students. If the t-shirt is in fact Morgan's, it will be the first piece of physical evidence in the hands of police since Morgan's purse and its contents were found in the parking lot the day after she vanished. Will the shirt's discovery be the lucky break the police need to crack this case? Next, a 9. Virginia State Police finally get a piece of physical evidence that may bring them closer to solving the Morgan Harrington case. What appears to be Morgan's t-shirt is recovered 2 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia. The 20-year-old Virginia Tech student was last seen on October 17th outside the Metallica concert at the arena.
It was a student that was walking along over in near an apartment complex off Grady Avenue, and the shirt was just exposed to the viewing. We didn't believe it had been there before. We'd searched there before. We don't know the circumstances of how it got placed there or how it was found there, but in fact, it was there.
At this point, the Pantera t-shirt is the only new piece of evidence the investigators have to work with.
The shirt was sent to our forensic laboratory in Richmond, and they were able to recover some human hairs from the shirt, and utilizing those hairs and hairs that were obtained from some of Morgan's belongings and from her mother, we're able to determine that through mitochondrial DNA testing that was in fact Morgan's shirt.
But this potentially promising lead turns out to be just another dead end. No other clues are found in the area.
We interviewed numerous individuals who lived in an area and who walked through that area or passed through that area. Other than the shirt itself, we did not recover any other evidence in that immediate vicinity of where the shirt was found.
December 2009. Morgan has been gone for 2 months, and there is still no breakthrough in the case. Jill and Dan spend an agonizing Christmas without their daughter.
You know, hope springs eternal. And that's part of what makes the missing time excruciating. Because you say, oh, is she chained in a shed somewhere? It's raining. Is she in the cold? Is she being fed? You fill in the blanks in a terrible way.
With no new leads, developments in the case slow to a standstill until January 26, 2010, when everything changes. David Bass, a farmer in Albemarle County, is taking a tractor ride along his property line to check on the fences after a heavy snowfall. The Bass farm is 10 miles from the John Paul Jones Arena, where Morgan Harrington was last seen 3 months earlier. On the remote corner of his farm, Bass comes across what he thinks is a deer carcass. When he gets close, he can see clothing and jewelry on the remains. Bass immediately calls 911 and alerts the police.
We immediately responded with investigators and with crime scene technicians.
Forensic teams get to work to determine the identity of the skeletal remains.
Someone from the media in Charlottesville called us and said, we want you to know that it looks like Morgan's body has been found. I remember just that adrenaline feeling of, could this be Morgan? Is this going to be an answer for us?
Coming up, have investigators found Morgan's remains? Or do they belong? January 26, 2010. Police investigating the disappearance of Virginia Tech student Morgan Harrington converge on Anchorage Farm in Albemarle County, Virginia, where skeletal human remains were found by the farm's owner, David Bass.
I was checking the fences and I thought I saw a dead deer, and I stopped and it was a human skull, and that's when I called 911.
20-year-old Morgan Harrington has been missing since October 17, 2009. She was last seen hitchhiking on a bridge outside the John Paul Jones Arena at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville.
Certainly, identification of any body, positive ID, is directly relevant to the condition of the body. You know, you send it to the medical examiner in Virginia, and they can do their DNA testing, they can do their dental records, and you know, things like that, and that's what you use for a decomposed body.
Her parents wait at home for the results. 2 days later, a dental record match confirms that the remains found on the Anchorage farm are in fact Morgan Harrington's. It's devastating news for Morgan's parents.
It's the worst thing that you don't want to hear, and yet at the same time, it's what I expected. And there was some relief in that it wasn't missing anymore. You know, the missing is the worst thing.
Morgan, the Harrington's youngest child, is dead. This missing persons case is now officially a homicide investigation. Because the investigation is ongoing, the police will not release her cause of death.
I cannot discuss the circumstances of her death as far as the cause. I can say that the medical examiner has determined that her manner of death is homicide.
To the investigators, the location of Morgan's body on the vast 700-plus acre farm may be the most telling clue to date.
The location is very remote. It's not easily accessed by a vehicle. It's a location that an individual would most certainly have to have prior knowledge of in order, to get there.
I mean, we're talking having to cross over creeks and ravines and fences, go through gates. They felt low risk. They felt, I can get in here without being seen. I know where I want to go. I know the terrain. I know what I have to cross, what the obstacles I have to cross. I mean, all that's pretty telling.
Armed with these new assumptions, the investigators continue to work the case. But as time goes by, no significant new leads develop. Until July of 2010, when a cold hit from a criminal case database connects forensic evidence from the Harrington investigation to another case. A 2005 abduction and rape in Fairfax County, Virginia, a Washington, D.C. suburb 3 hours away. But unlike Morgan, the victim of the Fairfax attack survived and was able to take a close look at the assailant. September 24th, 2005. A young woman was walking home from a grocery store in Fairfax, Virginia at 10 p.m. when she was grabbed from behind and dragged to a nearby community pool. The perpetrator sexually assaulted the victim, but took off running when startled by a passerby. The victim fought back, and the police were able to obtain the assailant's DNA. The woman also provided a sketch artist with a description of her attacker. 5 years later, a DNA match links the same man to the disappearance and murder of Morgan Harrington, although the police will not disclose how the match was made. The investigation in both cases is still ongoing, and the police have not yet identified a suspect.
Forensically, there's a DNA connection that Morgan Harrington at some point during her time at Charlottesville prior to her death came into contact with a person who has already been in the unknown subject DNA database for Virginia.
Investigators believe the information will eventually help them solve the case, but they continue to urge the public to utilize the tip line. Patty Vaughn disappeared on Wednesday, December 25th, 1996. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Patty Vaughn's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. When a dedicated mother's minivan is found abandoned on the side of the road, panic ensues.
She had been gone for more than 24 hours.
I kept thinking I was going to look in one of those drainage ditches and Patty was going to be in there.
Investigators soon find hints of foul play.
There was blood found in the van.
And then, a look into Patty Vaughn's past reveals a complicated love triangle.
They had a huge fight. She got angry and got in her van and left.
Could problems in a relationship have led to murder?
I don't think anybody else has the motive or the opportunity.
You just can't focus on one person. We are going to solve this case.
It is Christmas Eve, 1996, near San Antonio, Texas, where the festive city streets are glowing with holiday cheer. At Lavernia United Methodist Church, 32-year-old mother of three Patty Vaughn performs for an intimate Christmas celebration.
Patty has probably been singing before she talked. She had just a very sweet, soothing voice, almost like a songbird. She really enjoyed it. You know, they just created such great music together.
Patty was very proud of her music group. Singing with them was one of the things in life that gave her peace.
Church was huge in Patty's life. Patty's relationship with God was right up there with her relationship with her children.
While Patty carols on the altar, her husband Jerry Ray Vaughn and their three young children watch from the pews. Although the Vaughn's marriage has been strained lately, they are committed to keeping their relationship amicable.
Patty would never complain. You look at her family, and it was cookies and cream. Everything was perfect.
But once the service ends, Patty and JR, who have been separated for over 2 months, part ways. Patty and the children head over to her aunt's house, where they will meet up with Patty's old flame, a man named Gary, while JR drives back to his apartment in San Antonio.
It was going to be a wonderful Christmas because we were going to have Patty and Gary and the children.
Patty Vaughn and Gary's relationship has a long and complicated history. Patty was 18 years old in 1982 when she met Gary. She fell in love with the young Texan after moving to San Antonio with her family.
They had mad, crazy love for each other back then.
They had quite a serious relationship. And I think had circumstances been different, I think they probably would have stayed together. But a few months after they had been seeing each other, his ex-girlfriend came to him and told him that she was pregnant with his child. And out of a sense of obligation, he broke it off with Patty. Patty was devastated, was totally devastated.
Emotionally scarred from the breakup, Patty kept herself busy. She was waiting tables while attending classes at a community college.
She was working at a little hamburger joint. JR came into the establishment. He was a little bit older than Patty. Then they had known each other for a couple of years and got married.
Patty and J.R. Vaughn were married on May 18, 1985. For 11 and a half years, the couple worked at making a life together. They had a family construction contracting business and 3 children. But despite many solid years together, by the fall of 1996, Patty realized she was unhappy.
She was being torn apart inside and everything was falling apart. But my brother best described it as her being a one-legged duck. Smooth and graceful on top, but paddling like hell underneath.
Finally, on Columbus Day weekend 1996, Patty and Jerry Ray decided it was time to separate and reevaluate their marriage. By the end of October, JR had moved out of the family home in Lavernia and into an apartment in San Antonio.
She stayed in the family home. That was a mutual decision between Patty and JR, I think, at the time, for the sake of the children. And I remember when we knew that they really had separated. It was like the weight of the world had been lifted from her shoulders. And she was happy.
And then, just weeks after the separation, Patty confided in her cousin Kathy that she had been communicating again with the man who had captured her heart so many years earlier.
She had told me that Gary had divorced and that she was really excited because they were talking again.
I think it was just part of her remembering who she was, you know, remembering all the good stuff about herself.
When Patty, Gary, and her children arrive at Aunt Jean's house on Christmas Eve, the celebration has already begun. Patty worries how the new man in her life will be received.
Patty felt very guilty because she was still married to JR. And that part of her, that conscience, that moral issue was always there with her. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be called a bad mother?
But her family welcomes them both with open arms.
Basically, we all just always told her, you're a good person, you know what's right for your life, so just follow your heart.
As far as Christmas Eve at the house, I mean, it was perfect.
The party comes to an end around midnight. The family wishes each other a Merry Christmas and says their goodbyes.
Patty gave me a big old hug and said, okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And that was it. I mean, it was no different than any other night.
But unbeknownst to all, this is the last Christmas they will ever share together. Coming up, an explosive argument on Christmas Day tears a family apart.
She got angry and got in her van.
Patty Vaughn and her husband JR have decided to split up. Although conflicted about her decision to separate, Patty has been seeing an old boyfriend. On Christmas Eve 1996, Patty openly shares her rekindled relationship with her extended family. All goes well. At the end of the night, the family exchanges hugs and wishes each other a Merry Christmas.
We really didn't make any plans for Christmas Day because we knew that her plans were to have JR over.
It's Christmas morning, and Patty's husband JR arrives at the family home around 8 o'clock. Despite their recent difficulties, Patty and JR have agreed that it's best to spend Christmas Day together as a family for the sake of their children.
He was to arrive early in the morning, do the Santa Claus thing with the children, and then they were having dinner with the Vaughn family at their home later in the afternoon.
If all goes well, Patty and her boyfriend Gary will spend time together Christmas night after the Vaughn clan leaves to go home. Her aunt will take care of her children.
She had made plans later to go to a movie, and we were supposed to babysit the children.
But Christmas Day turns to night, and Patty never shows up to drop off the kids as planned, nor does she call to cancel.
Wasn't surprised that I didn't hear from her, and just figured with everything going on and with all of her in-laws coming over, I just figured maybe everything was going great and they were playing with the kids and having a nice dinner.
We really didn't panic a lot until my daughter got the phone call the next day.
The day after Christmas, Patty's cousin Kathy and her mother are at home when the phone rings. It's a call that will change their family's lives forever.
JR called me on the evening of the 26th. When I answered the phone, he immediately asked me what time it was, then asked me if I'd seen Patty.
JR tells her no one has heard from Patty for over 24 hours.
He said that she had been gone since the previous day, that they had had a huge fight, that they had been fighting off and on all day Christmas Day, and that she got angry and got in her van and left. She had been gone for more than 24 hours, and we were just now finding out about it.
From what JR tells Kathy, he was not initially worried because he thought Patty had been with Gary. But then, JR breaks bewildering news to Kathy. He tells her Patty's minivan was found abandoned earlier that day, 17 miles from their home. The blue-gray Dodge Caravan was left on the side of the road with a flat tire. Patty's boss was heading back to work after lunch when he noticed the minivan sitting idly on the shoulder. He recognized the vehicle as Patty and expected to find her at the office just 2 miles down the country road. But Patty wasn't there.
Nobody there had seen her, and it was one of her bosses who had called JR and said, hey, Patty's van's sitting on the side of the road with a flat tire, and Patty didn't show up for work. They were concerned, too, very concerned, because that was not like Patty to not come to work and not call.
He notified Patty's husband, Jerry Vaughn, who was, I guess, willing to meet him halfway to give him a set of keys. to the van.
Patty's husband told her boss over the phone that he didn't have time to drive to where the minivan was found. He was on his way to file for divorce. His plan was to shock Patty into abandoning her relationship with Gary by presenting her with divorce papers. On his way to begin the proceedings, JR met Patty's boss to hand over the keys so the minivan could be moved.
Her employer just changed a flat tire, took it to the shop, and it was later found out that, nobody knew where Patty was.
Later that day, when Patty's cousin Kathy gets off the phone with JR, she shares the baffling news of Patty's departure with her mother. Right away, they are extremely concerned and start making frantic phone calls to track down Gary, the man Patty has been seeing.
He had not seen Patty since Christmas Eve night at our house. He was totally in a state of shock and immediately came to our house to offer to help in any way he could.
Whether Gary is being truthful or not, she is still missing.
There's obviously something wrong. Patty was missing.
Kathy calls the Bexar County Sheriff's Office to file a missing persons report. The family fears Patty might have been abducted after asking the wrong person for help on the side of the road. But since she has not yet been missing for 72 hours, there is not much police can do.
She hadn't been missing long enough. Her being over the age of 18, she can come and go as she pleases.
After several calls, police finally agreed to take a missing persons report over the phone. Then, feeling helpless, Kathy and a friend head out into the dark of night to the place on the side of the road where Patty's van was left with a flat tire.
Patty would have fought like heck if somebody had grabbed her, so there's got to be a shirt sleeve or a shoe or, something somewhere. And so we just walked with the flashlight out there looking. Honestly, I kept thinking I was going to look in one of those drainage ditches and Patty was going to be in there. Maybe beat up, raped, I don't know, but she was going to be in there. Because it doesn't happen to your family.
Coming up, the search for Patty dramatically changes course after a startling discovery.
Somebody intentionally let the air out of that tire.
He sees her alive and well at a get-together on Christmas Eve. The 32-year-old mother is nowhere to be found. Jerry Ray Vaughn, Patty's estranged husband, was the last known person to see her on Christmas Day. He says she stormed out of the house after a volatile day of arguing. But Patty's extended family senses something is deeply wrong. They don't believe she would have left her 3 young children and not returned home.
These 3 children are her life, and she's going to get mad enough to walk out and leave them? Not in a million years.
Jean, Patty's aunt, starts to make calls to see if anyone has heard from Patty since Christmas. She begins with Patty's immediate family living in Georgia and finds that Patty's youngest sister did indeed talk to her on Christmas Day.
I called her Christmas. It was probably about 10:30 Texas time.
JR answered the phone. Jeannie wished him a Merry Christmas, told him she loved him, and asked to speak to her sister, Patty.
He put Patty on the phone, and I could tell she'd been crying, and she tried to tell me she had a cold, but I knew, I knew the difference, so I let it go.
Jeannie had formerly lived with Patty and JR and was very close to her sister's family.
He was a really nice guy. We had a good relationship. He was more of a brother than an in-law. I asked him to give me away at my wedding. I grew up, so.
But Jeannie was aware that Patty and JR's separation had not been easy. So when she heard the heaviness in her sister's voice on Christmas Day, she couldn't help but worry.
She assured me once again before we got off the phone that everything was fine, and that was the last time I talked to her.
That call only makes her family more concerned and desperate for answers. 2 days later, Patty's cousins, Barb and Kathy, head out to Queenie Electric, Patty's employer, where the minivan has been sitting since the previous day. But when the sisters inspect what is believed to be a blown-out tire, what they find changes the game in the search for their cousin.
Had Patty been driving to work down that road and gotten a blowout or a flat tire, there would have been some damage to the tire and to the rim. It was perfect. It looks like it went flat right where it sat.
To test their theory, the tire is reinflated. As they suspect, it holds air. Patty's cousin Kathy once again calls the police, who now agree to open an investigation before the 72-hour period passes. Investigator Adrian Ramirez, at the time an evidence technician, is one of the first to examine the car back in 1996.
The tire didn't appear to have any damage to it. It didn't have any kind of tearing on it. It didn't have any kind of markings on it, which led us to believe somebody intentionally let the air out of that tire.
It does not take long for the CSI team to conclude what they have on their hands is much more than a woman who voluntarily left her family.
The van was extremely clean, which caught our attention.
Considering the vehicle carts around 3 children under the age of 10, this cleanliness is a red flag.
The interior of the van appeared to be washed out, some type of detergent or water. There was water in the actual van itself. It was a colored, stained water. The samples were taken from all through the van.
Police suspect the muddied water in the van is tainted with blood, but they can't be sure. They submit samples for testing to the Bexar County Forensics Lab. Next, the investigators dust for fingerprints. The vehicle seems to have been wiped clean, but they eventually recover a single set of prints that are not Patty's. After checking local and national records, investigators cannot determine whom they belong to. While the Bexar County Police Department is involved in processing Patty's van, Jean, Kathy, and Barb are working non-stop to mobilize a search team. Patty's husband stays home to mind the children.
The first day, we had, I think, over 500 volunteers just through the local media.
By the end of the day on Friday, December 27th, hundreds of people have gathered at the location where Patty's van was found. Barb and her mother Jean head over to Patty's house to obtain scent articles for the search dogs. While there, Patty's cousin Barb has a brief encounter with Patty's 9-year-old daughter.
She ran out and hugged me, and she was very upset, and I said, "It's okay, we'll find your mommy."
As the clock ticks, Barb and Jean know the chances of Patty being found alive are fading fast.
They had some dogs that had a scent towards a pond in there where her van was found.
The handler follows her dog Vip to a small stock pond. It's 50 feet wide and 3 feet deep. It's a place well hidden off the country road. Could someone have disposed of Patty's body here after dumping her car? The search begins at the pond.
They had the Bexar County dive team and other assistants from different organizations, and the search was conducted in the pond area.
We did drag the pond. There was nothing there.
Although the pond yields no new evidence, the search teams expand their hunt to the surrounding areas. No stone is left unturned.
Complete strangers came to help our family. Can't tell you how many trash cans we jumped in. Dump sites, quarries, places that you just would never think you would have to look for somebody that you care about.
On Sunday, December 29th, the official search for the missing mother of 3 ends. Coming up, a routine search of the Vaughn residence reveals a harrowing clue.
It was hard not to think that something horrible had happened in that house.
Get more Disappeared online at investigationdiscovery.com. As seen, her family believes Patty might have been abducted. But it quickly becomes clear that the air was deliberately let out of the tire, and there appear to be traces of blood in the van. A 3-day search for the missing woman has turned up nothing. Investigators move quickly to question anyone in Patty's life who could have had motive to make her disappear.
In a case like this, you have to go in with an open mind. We strongly believe this was somebody that Patty was very close to.
Investigators know that there are 2 very important men in Patty's life. JR, her estranged husband, and Gary, Patty's former boyfriend, who is now back in her life. They start by questioning Gary. Police learn that Gary drove by Patty's house the day she went missing, when they weren't supposed to see each other until later that night.
He and his sister had been out driving for whatever reason, and he asked his sister if they could drive by Patty's house.
According to Patty's aunt, Gary says that he saw Patty's minivan and JR's truck in the driveway. The kids were out playing in the front yard. Is it possible that seeing the Vaughn family together on Christmas made him jealous? Patty's family says there is no way that Gary could be involved in Patty's disappearance.
We heard rumors that Patty had decided to reconcile with JR, and Gary couldn't stand that, so he had decided to do away with her. Just crazy scenarios. The fact that he was with his entire family all day Christmas and into the night, way after the hour that Patty supposedly left in her van, you know, kind of blows a hole in that theory.
The first person that helped us look for her was Gary. He volunteered to the police, please give me a lie detector test. He was with us on almost every search. He helped pass out flyers. He was a big part of that.
Gary denies having a part in Patty's disappearance. He passes a polygraph and gives no reason for police to believe he is a suspect. But because of the nature of his relationship to Patty, it is impossible to rule him out entirely. His eventual death in a tragic car accident will keep police wondering.
Gary, like anybody else, has always been considered a person of interest.
As investigators dig deeper into Gary and Patty's relationship, they look into an incident that happened just 2 weeks before Patty went missing. It makes them concerned that more people, other than just JR or Gary, may have been upset with Patty Vaughn at the time of her disappearance.
A member of their church out in Lavernia had seen Patty having lunch with Gary at a Dairy Queen, very romantic place to have lunch, and went back and reported to the minister at the church that Patty was a married woman, and he didn't think it was proper for a married woman to be having lunch with a man other than her husband.
Later that week, while rehearsing at church with her Christian folk singing group, Patty is publicly scorned because of her alleged infidelities.
The minister of the church called Patty in at choir practice one evening in front of all of the members and told her that she did not deserve to represent the church as a member of the singing group. That started a snowball in the community.
She had nothing to hide. She didn't think she did, you know, until the church ostracized her like they did.
There was a lot of division from what we understand. Some opinion was that this friend that she had was not a good idea because she was still technically married. There's other opinion to where, well, they were already in the midst of a separation, they're going to get divorced. There were a lot of personal attacks on Patty, and that's something she had to struggle with.
While hundreds of volunteers continue to flock to the fields searching for any sign of Patty, investigators are honing in on the Vaughn residence, the last place Patty was seen alive. The Bexar County Sheriff's Department Crime Scene Unit pays Jerry Ray Vaughn a visit later that day.
Jerry gave his consent to process the residence. Everything seemed to be normal. We then examined different areas of the interior of the residence.
The evidence technicians make their way through the Vaughn's home to search Patty and JR's bedroom. According to JR, Patty spent a good portion of the afternoon on Christmas Day in the bedroom, upset. The emotional upheaval started early on Christmas morning, soon after JR arrived. He says the fighting between him and his wife began over Patty's new relationship with her old boyfriend and how it was spilling over into their family life.
He felt that it was wrong that his children be subjected to that, and they weren't even divorced.
As the fighting between JR and Patty escalated, it became increasingly clear that hosting the Vaughn family for Christmas was not the best idea. When JR's sister Marilyn and her son showed up for dinner, JR told them Patty wasn't feeling well and asked them to take the children over to his younger sister's house for Christmas dinner. When the children left with their aunt, Patty and JR remained in the house alone.
We believe that Patty and Jerry Vaughn needed some time to talk, and they're probably going to work on some things.
But according to JR, this was when the arguing turned into an all-out war, culminating with divorce threats.
He had threatened her that with what he had on her, not only could he take back control of his house, he could take his children too, and she would never see them again.
According to JR, his goal was to show Patty he meant business and that it was high time to stop exhibiting inappropriate behavior around their children.
Supposedly, she grabbed her purse and her keys and left. And nobody has seen any of those items.
There are no witnesses that have come forward that can tell us they saw Patty leave that residence.
JR believes Patty became the victim of foul play after she left the house. 4 days later, the CSI team enters Patty and JR's bedroom, one of the last places Patty was seen before she vanished. They notice several stained indentations in the linoleum floor and begin their testing with luminol, a chemical used to indicate the possible presence of blood. Relegated to a neighbor's yard, Patty's anxious family members look on from afar.
We knew that they were going to be doing the luminol test, and we wanted to be right there in case they found anything.
But according to police, JR's sister Marilyn is inside the house and interrupts the investigation with a barrage of questions.
At that particular time, when we first brought Sister residence, there was some type of interference with the sister. And she should be protective of her brother.
While one officer leads Marilyn out of the bedroom, the other continues the luminol testing. What he finds could be proof that something violent happened there. There are visible positive results in the master bedroom, closet, and bathroom. But knowing that luminol also detects cleaning detergents, it is impossible to say if the reaction is from blood or bleach.
Luminol not only reacts to blood, it also reacts to copper and other chemicals, such as bleach. So it is strictly a tool to help you search for any kind of biological evidence.
Then, according to police, further disruptions from JR's sister while examining the positive results in the bathroom caused them to leave. The next day, when the search continues, the evidence technicians return to the areas where the luminol test was positive. They then follow a trail on the bedroom floor to uncover a few drops of blood. A bucket and mop in the garage also test positive under luminol.
Some blood evidence had been found behind a baseboard of the master bedroom. It was hard not to think that something horrible had happened in that house.
But investigators cannot be sure. They must now prove the blood found in the van and in the house is in fact Patty's blood. And if it is, with only a small amount of blood discovered, it will be hard to prove a crime was committed in the Vaughn's home.
What makes it tough here also is that unless there is an abundance amount of blood at a crime scene, it doesn't give you the amount you need to consider a person deceased.
Patty's family isn't as cautious in its assessment of the evidence against JR.
The house was never cordoned off as a crime scene. When they found the blood in the home and the blood in the van and she was missing, they allowed JR and his sister Marilyn to be in the home while they searched. And there's something not right there.
Coming up, suspicions arise when tips flood in about one of JR's construction sites.
Some workers were pouring concrete and they wanted us to go away.
Homicide. Blood found both in her minivan and behind a baseboard in her bedroom is a strong indicator to investigators that Patty has met a violent end. But just as the investigation into Patty Vaughn's disappearance seems to be heating up, there is a jurisdictional issue. Although the abandoned van was in Bexar County, the Vaughn house is not. Just weeks after Patty goes missing, former detective for the Wilson County Sheriff's Department, John Martinez, is handed the case. After reviewing the details of the investigation, he asks to speak to J.R. Vaughn.
The interview took approximately 4 hours. It was a roller coaster interview, a lot of discrepancies, a lot of voids. At the time of the interview, I was not convinced with any of Mr. Vaughn's answers.
It is becoming apparent to JR that people are beginning to point the finger at him as the reason why his wife is missing. He says he has no clue why there was blood in the van, since whatever happened to Patty transpired after she left the house Christmas night. As for the blood in the bedroom, he insists he has nothing to hide and has no idea where it came from.
Shortly thereafter, he retained an attorney and was advised never to give another statement. A polygraph was offered him, which he declined.
Knowing he might be the only surviving parent, JR says he feels he must protect himself at all costs.
I would say that Jerry Vaughn is one of our main persons of interest. It would have to take a serious amount of explaining as to questions we have regarding the incident on Christmas Day.
JR hasn't had to explain anything. JR's made all the rules.
There has been no explanation as to why the van was cleaned out and or the presence of blood at both scenes.
Although most people connected to the case believe that tests will soon verify the presence of Patty's blood, results are still pending. In the meantime, without any hard evidence against JR, police are unable to name him a suspect. But as the investigation continues, they receive information that makes them suspicious. 2 days before Patty goes missing, he makes plans to vacate his apartment. In a letter dated December 23rd, JR asks his landlord to break his lease. Although he tells police it was because the area felt unsafe, the timing of the letter makes them question his actions.
He moved back in the day Patty disappeared, and 3 days later her voice was changed on the voicemail, and his clothes were in the closet.
JR says his move back into the family home on December 25th was not planned. The heated fight between him and his wife pushed him to the limit. He told her to get out.
Supposedly, after she stormed out after a heated argument on Christmas night, he called a locksmith to change the locks.
JR was standing his ground, and he was going to take back what was his, which was his home and his children.
More than 3 months after Patty disappeared, police finally have the test results confirming that the blood found both in the van and the house has indeed been identified as Patty Vaughn's. But that is still not enough for an indictment.
There's not a body. There's no evidence that connects the two. And it's very hard to present that to a grand jury and try to make a case.
Nonetheless, JR's increasingly uncooperative behavior keeps family and investigators acutely alert.
We were not allowed back in the home, and we were allowed to see the children again.
The children were not allowed to be questioned, whether it be at the school or whether it be at the church. Their father made it a point when they attended Bible studies that he was there. As an investigator, it sends a red flag.
But JR says that police had not asked to question the children, and he has cut off contact with certain members of Patty's family because he is aware they think he might have harmed Patty.
He would not leave the house. He would not help us on the searches.
JR was getting members from the search parties to call him. They give him updates, where you're searching, how long you're going to be there, where you're searching tomorrow.
You would think that a person would be more involved in a search. However, everybody reacts different. Some will help, some will decide to stay away and let the authorities do it.
According to JR, He was advised by a police officer to stay away from the searches. If anything tied to Patty was found, he would not want his DNA anywhere near the crime scene. As the investigation continues, police must keep an open mind. They continue to question people Patty knew and chase down every possible lead, which brings them back to the Vaughn's property.
One of the leads that we received was that the body could be in a septic tank on the property. We obtained a search warrant, evidentiary search warrant for the property. And after searching, it was inconclusive. We searched and talked to neighbors and so forth. No one heard anything, no one saw anything.
But then, weeks after Patty disappears, one tip stands out among the rest. A call has come in referencing an elementary school that was being built around the Christmas holidays, 45 miles from Livernia in Pleasanton. The supervisor of the construction site was J.R. Vaughn.
Our office received information that Mr. Vaughn was a contractor, and they felt suspicious of some work that was being conducted right around the same time frame that this missing persons report came through.
We had found out where JR's job site was, and when we got there, there were some workers that were hired by JR that were pouring concrete, and they wanted us to go away.
We talked to a couple of employees who had said that JR had done something that was totally out of character for him, and said that he would oversee the concrete trucks in certain areas pouring concrete.
The information was that Ms. Vaughn might be in a cement slab because they found it odd that they were pouring cement at a certain time frame, a certain day.
JR denies these claims and says the pour dates had been scheduled well in advance and executed as planned. Close to 4 months after Patty's family finds out about the school construction site, investigators bring in the Texas Rangers and a team from Dallas to use ground-penetrating radar. They check for any anomalies in the concrete, and they find them.
We bored some holes in the cement. Had a cadaver dog out there, and at the time, the cadaver dog did not alert on any suspicious odors. So that kind of turned out at the time as an inconclusive search.
Patty's family is not convinced the search was done thoroughly. They believe there's a good chance Patty's body could still be there.
You're not going to destroy a multi-million-dollar project that the county and the citizens paid for, no matter how many bodies might be buried here.
Following the Pleasanton school search, the case of the missing mother goes cold, 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 cold.